Diamond arced through the humid Dubai air, catching the souk's golden light. It landed in the dust at Amira's feet, a poor vendor selling woven baskets. She froze, her callous fingers clutching a basket, staring at the ring. The Arab millionaire, Khalid al-Mansouri, stood smirking, his silk though billowing. His fiancée, Noor, gasped, her henna'd hands covering her mouth in shock. The crowded market buzzed with whispers, spices stinging the air with cumin and saffron. Amira's heart raced, her ragged shawl damp with sweat under the relentless sun. Why would he throw such wealth at her, a nobody, a shadow in the souk? Her eyes met Khalid's, his gaze cold like a predator sizing a prey. The ring sparkled, a cruel promise of riches amid her poverty's stench. She bent slowly, sand gritty under her knees, and picked it up. The diamond was heavy, its edges sharp, cutting into her trembling palm. Voices hushed. The market's chaos seemed to pause, watching her next move. Khalid laughed, a low, mocking sound, his gold watch glinting with menace. Noor's eyes burned with betrayal, her silk abaya rustling as she stepped back. Amira's throat tightened, the ring's weight pulling her into an unseen trap. The souk's heat pressed down, sweat beading on her brow, stinging her eyes. She stood, clutching the ring, her bare feet gritty on the stone path. Khalid's voice sliced through the tension, smooth as the desert's evening wind. "Keep it, girl," he said, his tone dripping with calculated amusement. Amira's stomach churned, sensing a game she did not understand. The crowd parted, their murmurs like distant waves crashing on a shore. She slipped the ring into her pocket, its cold metal burning against her skin. Noor turned away, her heels clicking sharply on the souk's ancient stones. Amira's pulse thundered, her mind racing with questions she could not voice. The market's colors blurred, red silks, green dates, yellow turmeric piles. She smelled overripe fruit, heard hawkers' shouts, felt eyes boring into her. Khalid's smirk lingered, a shadow of intent she could not decipher. She turned, clutching her baskets, and hurried through the souk's twisting alleys. Her bare feet slapped against warm stone, echoing like a frantic heartbeat. The ring in her pocket felt alive, whispering secrets she feared to learn. She glanced back, Khalid's silhouette still watching, unmoving, a statue of power. Her breath hitched, the air thick with dust and the weight of his stare. Amira ducked into a narrow alley, shadows cooling her sun-scorched skin. The walls closed in, smelling of old stone and forgotten stories. She leaned against a crumbling wall, her chest heaving, heart pounding wildly. The ring pressed against her thigh, a silent question she could not answer. What game was Khalid playing, tossing wealth like it meant nothing? Her fingers traced the ring's edges, sharp enough to draw blood. She winced, a red droplet falling, staining the alley's sandy floor. The souk's noise faded, leaving only her ragged breaths and distant camel bells. Amira's mind spun, piecing together fragments of Khalid's strange act. He was rich, untouchable, his name whispered in Dubai's glittering towers. Why her, a woman scraping by, invisible to men like him? The ring was no gift. It felt like a curse, heavy with intent. She remembered Noor's face, the flash of pain in her coal-lined eyes. Was this a lover's quarrel, or something darker, more sinister? Amira's stomach knotted, her instinct screaming to run, to hide. She pushed off the wall, her shawl catching on rough stone, tearing slightly. The alley opened to a quieter square, lined with date palms swaying. Their fronds rustled, a soft hiss like whispers of warning in the breeze. She sat on a low bench, the wood warm, splintered under her fingers. The ring burned in her pocket, a secret she did not want to keep. She pulled it out, its diamond catching the fading evening light. It was flawless, enormous, worth more than her life's earnings combined. Her hands shook, the ring slipping, nearly falling to the ground again. She caught it, heart lurching, and shoved it back into her pocket. The square was empty, but she felt watched, shadows shifting in corners. A stray cat slunk by, its eyes glinting like Khalid's in the market. Amira's skin prickled, the air suddenly heavy with unspoken threats. She stood, her legs unsteady, and moved toward the square's far end. The call to prayer echoed, mournful, weaving through the city's pulse. She passed the tea stall, its smoky aroma mixing with her fear. The vendor glanced at her, his eyes narrowing as if he knew. Amira quickened her pace, the ring bouncing against her thigh. She reached her small stall, a lean-to of wood and faded cloth. Her baskets lay scattered, some tipped over, their weaves fraying. She sank to the ground, dust puffing around her, heart still racing. The ring was a magnet, pulling trouble she could not yet see. Khalid's face flashed in her mind, his smile a blade's edge. She heard footsteps, slow and deliberate, approaching her stall. Her breath caught, her body tensing, ready to flee or fight. A shadow fell across the stall, long and sharp in the dusk. She looked up, expecting Khalid, but it was not him. A man stood there, his face half hidden by keffiyeh's fold. His eyes were dark, unreadable, like the desert at midnight. "You have something that does not belong to you," he said. His voice was low, a growl that chilled her blood. Amira's hand closed around the ring, her knuckles whitening. She stood, backing away, her stall's cloth brushing her arm. The man stepped closer, his boots crunching on the sandy ground. Her throat tightened, words trapped behind her pounding pulse. "Who are you?" she managed, her voice barely a whisper. He did not answer, his eyes fixed on her pocket. The souk's lights flickered, casting his face in jagged shadows. She turned to run, her feet slipping on loose stones. His hand shot out, grabbing her wrist, his grip iron cold. She gasped, pain shooting through her arm, the ring digging in. "Let go!" she cried, twisting, her shawl falling to the dust. He leaned closer, his breath hot, smelling of tobacco and mint. "Give it to me," he hissed, his fingers tightening. Amira's mind raced, panic clawing at her thoughts. The ring was not hers, but she could not let go. It was a lifeline, a puzzle, a danger she needed to understand. She yanked free, stumbling back, her wrist throbbing. He lunged, but she darted into the souk's maze again. Her feet pounded, heart hammering, the ring a weight in her pocket. The alleys twisted, walls closing in, shadows swallowing her path. She heard his steps behind, relentless, like a hunter's drumbeat. Her breath burned, lungs aching as she ducked behind a cart. The souk's noise roared back, a chaotic shield hiding her gasps. She crouched, trembling, the ring's sharp edges biting her skin. What had Khalid done, throwing this ring into her life? Was it a test, a trap, or something far worse? Her eyes scanned the dark, searching for the man's shadow. The souk pulsed, alive with secrets, and she was caught in its web. The ring was no longer just a jewel. It was a key. To what? She did not know, but she would find out. Her fingers tightened around it, resolve hardening in her chest. She would not be prey, not in this glittering, treacherous city. The man's footsteps faded, but the danger lingered, thick as dust. Amira stood, her heart steadying, ready to face what came next. Amira's heart pounded, her breath shallow, as she crouched behind the spice cart. The souk's clamor roared, voices shouting, metal clanging, drowning her ragged gasps. The ring burned in her pocket, its sharp edges pressing into her thigh. She peeked out, scanning the alley, shadows twisting in the flickering lamplight. The man with the keffiyeh was gone, his footsteps swallowed by the crowd. Her wrist throbbed, his iron grip still lingering like a ghost touch. The air smelled of cardamom and sweat, thick with the day's heat. She clutched her shawl, torn and dusty, her fingers trembling uncontrollably. The souk's colors bled together, scarlet fabrics, amber oils, emerald figs. A donkey braid, its echoes sharp, slicing through her racing thoughts. She stood slowly, legs unsteady, dust clinging to her damp skin. The ring felt heavier now, a weight pulling her toward unknown danger. She moved, weaving through the crowd, their shoulders brushing her like warnings. Her eyes darted, searching for the man, his dark gaze haunting her. The souk's stone path was warm, gritty under her calloused feet. She passed a butcher's stall, the tang of raw meat stinging her nose. A knife gleamed, slicing through lamb, its thud rhythmic, menacing. Amira's stomach twisted, the ring a silent scream in her pocket. She needed answers. Why Khalid threw it? Why this man hunted her? Her stall was too exposed, its flimsy cloth no shield from danger. She turned toward the old quarter, where shadows had secrets better. The alleys narrowed, walls crumbling, smelling of damp earth and time. Lanterns swayed, casting jagged patterns on the uneven stone path. Her pulse quickened, each step echoing like a drum in her ears. She heard laughter, sharp and cruel, from a nearby tea house. Khalid's face flashed in her mind, his smirk a blade's cold edge. Was he watching, orchestrating this chase from Dubai's glittering heights? She slipped into a courtyard, its fountain gurgling, water glinting like diamonds. The ring's weight mocked her, a jewel tied to an unseen noose. She sat on the fountain's edge, its cool stone soothing her trembling hands. The water splash was soft, a whisper amid the souk's distant roar. She pulled the ring out, its diamond catching the moonlight's pale glow. Her fingers traced its band, finding faint scratches, etched like a code. She squinted, heart racing, the marks forming letters. Initials, perhaps a name. Her breath caught, the air suddenly sharp with jasmine and danger. Footsteps crunched behind her, slow, deliberate, like a predator's stalk. She spun, clutching the ring, her knuckles whitening against its edges. A woman stood there, her abaya flowing, face half veiled in shadow. "You should not have that," she said, her voice low, urgent. Amira's throat tightened, her body tensing, ready to bolt again. The woman stepped closer, her perfume sharp, cutting through the night air. Her eyes glinted, not with malice, but with fear, wide and searching. "Who are you?" Amira asked, her voice shaking, barely a whisper. The woman glanced around, her veil slipping, revealing a familiar face. It was Noor, Khalid's fiancé, her kohl-lined eyes red with tears. Amira's heart lurched, the ring burning hotter in her clenched fist. "Why did he give it to me?" she demanded, stepping back. Noor's lips trembled, her hands twisting the edge of her abaya. "It is not a gift," she whispered, her voice breaking like glass. The fountain's gurgle seemed louder, a warning in its steady rhythm. Amira's mind raced, piecing together Noor's fear, Khalid's smirk, the man. "What does it mean?" she pressed, her voice sharp, desperate for truth. Noor looked away, her gaze fixed on the courtyard's shadowed corners. "It is a key," she said, her words barely audible, trembling. Amira's skin prickled, the night air heavy with unspoken secrets. "A key to what?" she asked, stepping closer, her voice firm. Noor shook her head, her veil fluttering, catching the fountain's mist. "You do not understand the danger," she said, her eyes pleading. Amira's fingers tightened around the ring, its scratches biting her palm. "Tell me," she insisted, her heart pounding like a trapped bird. Noor's breath hitched, her hands shaking as she reached out. "Give it to me," she said, her voice cracking with urgency. Amira stepped back, the fountain's edge cold against her legs. "Why should I trust you?" she asked, her eyes narrowing. Noor's face crumpled, a tear streaking through her kohl, black as ink. "Because I am running too," she whispered, her voice raw, broken. Amira's breath caught, the courtyard spinning, shadows closing in. Running from what? Khalid, the man, or something far worse? The souk's distant noise roared back, a reminder of the world outside. She slipped the ring into her pocket, its weight a growing burden. Noor's eyes followed the motion, her expression a mix of fear and resolve. "Meet me tomorrow," Noor said, her voice steadying, almost commanding. "Where?" Amira asked, her pulse racing, distrust warring with curiosity. "The old mosque at dawn," Noor said, glancing at the shadows. Amira nodded, her throat dry, the ring's presence overwhelming her senses. Noor turned, her abaya sweeping the ground, disappearing into the dark. Amira stood alone, the fountain's gurgle now a mocking laugh. Her fingers brushed the ring, its scratches whispering secrets she could not read. The courtyard felt smaller, the air thick with unseen eyes watching. She moved, her feet quickening, the old quarter's alley swallowing her. The walls loomed, their rough stones scraping her arm as she passed. A dog barked, its howl sharp, cutting through the night's heavy silence. Her heart hammered, each step pulling her deeper into the mystery. The ring was no jewel. It was a chain binding her to danger. She reached a small inn, its wooden door creaking, smelling of cedar. The innkeeper glanced up, his eyes narrowing, his pipe smoke curling. She paid for a room, her coins clinking, her hands still shaking. The stairs creaked under her feet, each step echoing her fear. Her room was small, its walls stained, the air stale with dust. She locked the door, its bolt heavy, but it felt flimsy, useless. She sat on the thin mattress, its springs groaning under her weight. The ring came out again, its diamond glinting like a malevolent eye. She held it to the lamp, its scratches clearer, letters maybe A.K.A. Her breath hitched, her mind racing. Khaled's initials or someone else's? The lamp flickered, casting shadows that danced like specters on the walls. She hid the ring under her pillow, its presence a cold weight. Sleep would not come, the night alive with creaks and whispers. She heard footsteps outside, soft but deliberate, pausing at her door. Her heart stopped, her body freezing, every muscle coiled tight. The handle rattled, a slow, testing turn that chilled her blood. She held her breath, the room's air thick with fear and dust. The rattling stopped, footsteps fading, leaving only her pounding pulse. She clutched the pillow, the ring's shape pressing to the thin fabric. What had she stumbled into? A game of wealth or blood? Khaled's smirk, Noor's tears, the man's grip, they all connected. The ring was the key, but to what? A fortune or grave? She lay still, eyes wide, the night stretching into endless dread. Dawn was hours away, the mosque meeting a distant hope. The souk slept outside, its secrets buried in the dark. Amira's resolve hardened, her fear sharpening into determination. She would meet Noor, uncover the truth, face the danger. The ring was hers now, and she would not let go. Amira's eyes burned, sleepless, as dawn's light crept through the inn's cracked shutters. The ring lay under her pillow, its cold weight a constant reminder. She rose, her bare feet touching the rough, splintered floorboards. The air smelled of stale dust, mixed with faint cedar from the door. Her heart thudded, Noor's words echoing. Me at the old mosque dawn. She slipped the ring into her pocket, its sharp edges grazing her skin. The inn was silent, its walls creaking faintly, like whispers of warning. She stepped outside, the souk stirring, its air cool, heavy with dew. The old mosque loomed ahead, its minaret piercing the pale morning sky. Her sandals slapped against the stone path, echoing in the quiet. The scent of fresh bread wafted, mingling with the dust of dawn. She scanned the shadows, her pulse racing, expecting the keffiyeh man. The mosque's courtyard was empty, its tiles cool, slick under her feet. She paused, her breath shallow, the ring of burning secret in her pocket. The call to prayer began, mournful, vibrating through the ancient stones. Amira's skin prickled, the sound wrapping her in a chilling embrace. She moved toward the mosque's arched entrance, its shadows swallowing light. Inside, the air was cool, smelling of old incense and worn prayer rugs. Her eyes adjusted, scanning the dim hall, pillars casting long, dark fingers. Noor stood near a pillar, her abaya blending into the morning gloom. Amira's heart leaped, relief warring with distrust as she approached. Noor's face was pale, her eyes wide, darting like a trapped animal's. "You came?" Noor whispered, her voice trembling, barely audible. Amira nodded, her hand clutching the ring, its scratches haunting her. "What is this key?" she asked, her voice sharp, demanding answers. Noor glanced around, her fingers twisting the edge of her veil. "It unlocks something Khaled wants hidden," she said, her words rushed. Amira's stomach knotted, the mosque silence pressing against her ears. "Hidden where?" she pressed, stepping closer, her breath quickening. Noor's eyes flicked the floor toward a mosaic of swirling blues. "Beneath us," she said, her voice dropping to a fearful whisper. Amira's gaze followed, the mosaic glinting, its patterns hiding something sinister. Her pulse raced, the ring's weight pulling her toward the unknown. Noor knelt, her fingers tracing the tiles, searching for seam. Amira's breath caught, the air thick with dust and ancient secrets. A tile clicked, loosening, revealing a dark gap beneath the floor. Noor's hand shook, prying it open, exposing a narrow stone staircase. Amira's heart pounded, the mosque's cool air turning icy with dread. "What is down there?" she asked, her voice barely steady. Noor's eyes met hers, filled with terror, yet resolute, unyielding. "Proof of his crimes," she said, her words cutting like a blade. Amira's mind spun, Khalid's smirk flashing, his wealth amassed for evil. She followed Noor, descending the stairs, the darkness swallowing them whole. The steps were slick, mossy, smelling of earth and forgotten time. Her hand grazed a wall, its rough stone cold, biting her fingertips. A faint drip echoed below, each sound amplifying her growing fear. The ring in her pocket seemed to pulse, alive with its own intent. They reached a chamber, its air stale, heavy with mildew stench. Noor lit a small lantern, its flame flickering, casting jagged shadows. The light revealed a metal door, rusted, with a lock shaped like a ring. Amira's breath hitched, her fingers trembling as she pulled out the ring. Its diamond glinted the scratches. Initials AK, clear in the dim light. Noor nodded, her face tight, urging Amira to try the lock. She stepped forward, her heart hammering, the ring heavy in her hand. It slid into the lock, fitting perfectly, a key to Khalid's secrets. The door groaned, metal scraping, as it swung open slowly. A blast of cold air hit her, smelling of decay and something metallic. Amira's stomach churned, her instinct screaming to run, to flee. Noor pushed past, her lantern shaking, illuminating a small, grim room. The walls were lined with shelves, papers, and strange, gleaming objects. Amira's eyes widened, spotting photographs, documents, and a bloodied knife. Her breath stopped, the knife's blade catching the lantern's weak light. Noor gasped, her hand covering her mouth, her eyes filled with horror. "This is his vault," she whispered, her voice breaking, barely audible. Amira's mind raced, the ring's purpose clear. It unlocked Khalid's darkness. She stepped closer, her sandals sticking to the damp, gritty floor. The photograph showed faces, some smiling, others frozen in fear. Her heart sank, recognizing one, a missing vendor from the souk. The air grew heavier, the stench of blood faint but unmistakable. Amira's hand shook, picking up a document, its ink smudged, hurried. It listed names, dates, sums, transactions tied to the souk's shadows. Noor's voice trembled, reading another, her face pale as moonlight. "He trades in lives," she said, her words a chilling revelation. Amira's throat tightened, the ring scratches burning in her memory. AK, not Khalid's initials, but someone else's, someone already gone. Her knees weakened, the chamber spinning, its walls closing in. Footsteps echoed above, heavy, deliberate, descending the stone stairs. Amira's heart froze, her body tensing, trapped in the vault. Noor dropped the lantern, its flame sputtering, shadows leaping wildly. "Hide!" Noor hissed, pulling Amira behind a shelf. It was splintering. The footsteps grew louder, each step a hammer's blow. Amira's breath caught, her body pressed against cold, rusted metal. The ring dug into her thigh, a reminder of her dangerous choice. A figure entered, tall, shadowed, his keffiyeh masking his face. It was him, the man from the souk, his eyes glinting with malice. He scanned the room, his gaze sharp, hunting for his prey. Amira's pulse roared, her lungs burning, holding back a scream. Noor's hand gripped hers, trembling, their fear a shared heartbeat. The man moved closer, his boots crunching on the gritty floor. He paused, sniffing the air, as if smelling their terror. "Tea." Amira's eyes darted, searching for an escape, finding none. The shelves loomed, their content a gallery of Khalid's sins. The man's hand brushed a photograph, his fingers lingering, deliberate. He muttered something, low and guttural, in a language Amira didn't know. Her heart raced, the rings weighed a chain binding her to this moment. He turned, his eyes locking on their hiding spot, unyielding, predatory. Amira's breath stopped, her body frozen. The world narrowing to his gaze. Noor squeezed her hand, a silent plea to stay still, silent. The man stepped closer, his shadow swallowing the lantern's faint light. Amira's mind screamed, her instincts clawing for a way out. The ring was the key, but now it felt like a noose. He reached out, his hand inches from the shelf, fingers curling. A distant shout echoed, sharp, from the mosque above, breaking the silence. The man froze, his head turning, his body tensing like a coiled snake. Amira's chest burned, her lungs desperate for air she couldn't take. He cursed, low and harsh, and turned toward the stairs. His footsteps retreated, fast, echoing up the stone steps. Amira exhaled, her body trembling, collapsing against the shelf. Noor's face was ashen, her eyes wide, reflecting the lantern's dying glow. "We cannot stay," she whispered, her voice urgent, barely controlled. Amira nodded, her heart still racing, the ring a burning weight. They grabbed the photographs, documents, proof of Khalid's dark empire. The vault's air was suffocating, its secrets too heavy to bear. They climbed the stairs, the mosque's cool air a fleeting relief. The souk was waking, its noise rising, a shield for their escape. Amira clutched the papers, the ring, her resolve hardening like steel. Khalid's game was unraveling, but the danger was far from over. The man was still out there, and others might be watching. She glanced at Noor, their eyes meeting, a pact forged in fear. They slipped into the dawn, the souk's chaos swallowing their steps. The ring was a beacon, drawing death closer with every moment. Amira clutched the papers, her knuckles white, as she fled the mosque shadows. Noor followed, her abaya whispering, her breath sharp in the dawn air. The souk buzzed, its early clamor rising, hawkers shouting, carts creaking. The ring burned in Amira's pocket, its weight a pulsing, living thing. Her sandal slapped the stone path, gritty dust stinging her toes. The air smelled of fresh mint, mixed with the souk's sweaty heat. Her heart raced, the photographs and documents heavy under her arm. Khalid's vault had revealed horrors, names, faces, a bloodied knife. She glanced at Noor, whose eyes darted, scanning for keffiyeh man. The souk's colors swirled, red silks, green limes, amber spice mounds. Amira's skin prickled, sensing eyes watching from every shadow corner. They turned into a narrow alley, its walls rough, smelling of old stone. Her breath hitched, the papers crinkling, their secrets threatening to spill. Noor grabbed her arm, pulling her behind a stack of woven baskets. "Someone's following," Noor whispered, her voice tight, barely audible. Amira's pulse surged, her ears straining for footsteps in the chaos. A camel grunted nearby, its bellows sharp, masking other sounds. She peeked out, spotting a shadow moving, swift, through the crowd. The ring scratches, AK, flashed in her mind, a chilling clue. Not Khalid's initials, but whose? A victim or someone else. Noor's hand trembled, her nails digging into Amira's arm, drawing blood. "We need to move," Noor said, her eyes wide, reflecting fear. Amira nodded, her throat dry, the papers slipping in her sweaty grip. They darted through the alley, its walls closing in, air thick with dust. The souk's noise faded, replaced by their ragged breaths, pounding feet. Amira's heart thundered, the ring a beacon, drawing danger closer. They reached a small square, its fountain dry, cracked under the sun. The stones burned her feet, the air heavy with stale water stench. She stopped, gasping, her eyes scanning the square for threats. Noor pointed to a low building, its door ajar with splintered. "In there," she hissed, her voice urgent, pulling Amira forward. The building's interior was dark, smelling of mold and forgotten wares. Amira's eyes adjusted, seeing crates, cloth rolls, and dusty shelves. Her fingers brushed the ring, its cold metal grounding her fear. Noor closed the door, its hinges groaning, sealing them in shadow. "We cannot keep running," Amira said, her voice steady, defiant. Noor's face was pale, her cold smudged, streaked with sweat. "The ring is more than a key," Noor said, her words rushed. Amira's stomach twisted. the papers crinkling as she gripped them tighter. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice sharp, demanding truth. Noor hesitated, her eyes flicking to the ring in Amira's pocket. "It hold a code," she said, her voice dropping, almost inaudible. Amira's breath caught, the room's air heavy, suffocating with secrets. She pulled out the ring, its diamond glinting in the dim light. The scratches, AK, were clearer now, etched deep deliberate. Noor stepped closer, her fingers trembling, reaching for the ring. "It activates something," she said, her eyes locked on the jewel. Amira's mind spun, Khalid smirk. The vault, the bloodied knife. "Activates what?" she demanded, stepping back, clutching the ring. Noor's lips parted, but a crash outside silenced her words. The door rattled, with splintering, as someone pounded from outside. Amira's heart stopped, her body freezing, the papers nearly falling. Noor grabbed her, pulling her behind a crate. Its with rough, biting. The door burst open, sunlight flooding, revealing the keffiyeh man. His eyes burned, his face unmasked, scarred, twisted with rage. Amira's breath caught, her body pressed against the crate's sharp edge. He stepped inside, his boots heavy, dust swirling in his wake. "You cannot hide," he growled, his voice low, dripping with menace. Amira's pulse roared, the ring's weight a scream in her pocket. Noor's hand tightened, her nails drawing blood, her fear palpable. The man scanned the room, his gaze slicing through the shadows. Amira's eyes darted, spotting a rusty knife on a nearby shelf. Her hand moved, slow, trembling, reaching for the blade handle. The man turned, his eyes locking on her crate, unyielding, predatory. She gripped the knife, its metal cold, slick with her sweat. He stepped closer, his shadow swallowing the room's faint light. Amira's heart pounded, her mind screaming, every muscle coiled tight. Noor whispered, "Now," her voice a desperate, trembling command. Amira lunged, knife raised, aiming for the man's arm, not heart. He dodged, quick, his hand grabbing her wrist, twisting hard. Pain shot through her, the knife clattering to the dusty floor. Noor screamed, scrambling back, knocking over a stack of crates. The man laughed, a cold, guttural sound, echoing in the room. Amira kicked, her foot connecting, his grip loosening for a moment. She broke free, stumbling, the ring slipping from her pocket. It hit the floor, rolling, its diamond glinting like a traitor's eye. The man's gaze snapped to it, his body tensing, ready to pounce. Amira dove, her fingers scraping the floor, grabbing the ring. He lunged, his hand grazing her shawl, tearing it further apart. She rolled away, heart hammering, clutching the ring, the papers. Noor shouted, throwing a cloth roll, distracting him for a second. Amira ran, bursting through the door, the souk's heat hitting her. The sun blinded her, its glare harsh, burning her tear-streaked face. She sprinted, the papers flapping, the ring clenched in her fist. The souk roared, voices shouting, carts rattling, swallowing her footsteps. Her lungs burned, the air thick with spices, sweat, and fear. She glanced back, the man emerging, his eyes locked on her. Noor was gone, vanished in the chaos, leaving Amira alone. Her mind raced, Noor's words ringing. It holds a code. What code? A device, a vault, or something far worse? She ducked into an alley, its walls tight, smelling of damp earth, her breath ragged. She pressed against the stone, heart pounding wildly. The ring scratches glowed in her mind. AK, a name, a code. She examined it, squinting, seeing numbers etched inside the band. Her heart lurched. The numbers tiny, precise, a hidden message. Was this the code Noor meant, a trigger for Khalid's empire? Footsteps echoed, fast, approaching, the man's shadow looming closer. Amira's blood froze, her body trembling, trapped in the alley. She stuffed the papers under her shawl, the ring back in her pocket. The footsteps stopped, a voice shouting her name, not the man's. She peered out, seeing a figure, Khalid, his silk thobe gleaming. Her stomach dropped, his smirk gone, replaced by cold fury. "Amira," he called, his voice smooth, dangerous like desert wind. She shrank back, the alley's walls rough, scraping her skin. He stepped closer, his gold watch glinting, his eyes predatory. "You took something mine," he said, his tone chilling lethal. The ring's code burned in her mind, a secret he wanted buried. Her eyes darted, spotting a ladder rusted, leading to a roof. She bolted, climbing, her hands slipping on the gritty metal. Khalid shouted, his voice sharp, footsteps pounding after her. She reached the roof, the souk sprawling below, a maze of danger. The air was hot, smelling of tar and distant sea salt. Her heart raced, the ring, the papers, her only weapons now. Khalid's had appeared, his eyes blazing, climbing with terrifying speed. Amira ran, leaping to another roof, tiles cracking underfoot. The souk's noise rose, a chaotic shield, but not enough. She glanced back, Khalid closer, his face twisted with rage. The ring was the key, the code, the heart of his empire. But whose empire? Khalid's, or someone pulling his strings? Her mind reeled, the twist hitting. AK was not a victim. AK was alive, orchestrating. The true power behind the ring.